Hey, everybody. It is Sunday, July 2nd, 2023, and you are listening to episode 19 of Black Box Signal. We're almost to 20. Two more episodes, we'll be able to legally drink.
Hey.
I'm your host, as always, Chase Johnson, and joined by my co-host, Brandon Gass. What's going on, man?
Oh, you know, a little bit of this, a little bit of that.
Yep, another day, another. We don't make any money on this podcast, so I can't even say another day, another dollar.
Another day, another game.
Yep. So yeah, I spent it. So it was mine and my wife's anniversary on Friday, and
Oh yeah.
we didn't do anything really Friday except for I brought home food. But then we went out yesterday, ate, and then we went to Walmart, which we never go to. Because Shauna, if you know anything about Shauna, she hates Walmart. But we were on close to one, and I needed flip-flops because my flip-flops were disgusting. I had them for way too long, and I did not want to spend a lot of money. So I was like, Walmart. So we go to Walmart, and we're just looking around. She's having a horrible time because she hates Walmart, and I'm just looking around at stuff, and I was like, well, let me go over to the toy section. You know me, fucking nerd. Let me just go over there to the toy section, and I found, and this is gonna be terrible on audio podcast, but if you're watching this, I found this Walmart exclusive. It's gonna blur some of it. This Kenny Omega figure, which I had to do, obviously being a Kenny Omega mark, came with the AEW belt and 2 outfits, and his signatures on the back. So yeah, that was too much money I spent on a wrestling figure.
Hey man, the things we do.
Because it wasn't the average price. It was how much was it? $15-$20? No. Try doubling that. But I saw it was one of those things. It's I wanted it for a while, and then I saw it in the store, and it was just well, it's meant to be. It's there.
Mm-hmm. Pull the trigger. Yep.
And yes, I did get flip-flops. My mom asked, did you at least actually get flip-flops, what you meant to go there for? Yes.
By flip-flops, you mean a wrestling figure? Then yes, he did get them.
Yes. Wrestlers do flips and flops. So yes, I did. What have you been doing this week?
So my D&D group met yesterday. We were kind of having a weird scheduling conflict thing because there's 7 of us, so it's kind of hard to get 7 people on the same line. So we were like, oh, we'll do Tuesday.
Don't we know it? We sometimes struggle just to get the 2 of us together. What are we talking about?
We were like, oh, we're gonna meet Tuesday, and then Tuesday became, oh, we're gonna do it on Friday, and then that became, let's just do it on Saturday. So
right.
But it worked out pretty good. I got a new bed, or rather a new mattress or whatever, that we moved Saturday during the day. And then Saturday evening we met up to play D&D, and that was a lot of fun. We may or may not have lost another character. We're not really sure.
R.I.P.
Yeah,
R.I.P. question mark?
Yeah, so our host, the guy that hosts the D&D group, had his first character cleaved in half by one of our other characters, and died.
friendly fire.
Yes, essentially. And so then he had this other character, this blind paladin thing that he made that was kind of cool, and the same guy about cleaved that character in half.
More awesome. Friendly fire.
Right, he basically went 2 for 2 on the same person's character twice. So
that's kind of. I mean, I don't play D&D. I've always wanted to. The farthest I've gotten was creating a character. But I'm gonna just say this: I ain't no expert, but that sounds sus.
Yeah, so he did end up healing her and bringing her back to life or whatever. And then she kind of parted ways with our group or whatever. So her status is kind of unknown right now. So we don't know if she is dead, she's still alive. It's kind of just all right, whatever.
Right.
Moving on. You weren't with the group very long. We don't care. Bye. See you later.
Nice.
So,
And you guys
um,
do you guys meet every week usually?
um, so we try to meet like at least once a month, but I mean, with scheduling conflicts and stuff like that, I mean, sometimes you go a while in between. But I enjoy it because it's 7 of us guys, a few of us are dads, so it's just
Right.
it's pretty chill. I like that.
Nice. Nice.
Um, I did level up. I still haven't leveled myself up yet. I have my sheet and my dice here because me and our DM are supposed to be we're gonna just meet up like over the phone or whatever at some point
Right.
between now and the next session, and we're gonna do like a one-off thing for me to get some extra XP since I had to miss out last time we did D&D. So that'll be kind of cool. So we'll just do it like over a conference call or whatever.
Nice, nice. Oh, this is totally random, but you sent this picture to us, and again, people listening to this is gonna be terrible, but kind of pull your shirt up.
Oh
Your
yeah.
says Super Daddy-O, and it's got like versions of him, his son, and his daughter on it, which I just think is that's just freaking cool. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
It's
um,
definitely
had
awesome. Yep.
had to shout that out, even though it's like completely off topic, but I I couldn't help it. That was pretty cool. Um,
Yeah, it was definitely cool. Like I knew that there was something coming. I didn't know exactly what was going to be on it, but my girlfriend got with my 2 kids in secret and they picked out the stuff and designed it, and then it came in the mail yesterday. So yeah, it's
nice,
super cool. I like it a lot.
nice, nice. Well, with that, do you want to get into the video games we've been playing?
Ba-dum-bum.
Still nothing. Still just
Cue non-existent screen
still
transition.
just us awkwardly just Brandon. It's even more awkward for Brandon because I hear the sound cue, he doesn't. So he just sort of like waits for me to start talking to cue him like, okay, it must be done.
Yeah,
He
I
hears it.
did.
You hear it after
I
the
just
fact when you listen to the podcast back, but you don't hear the music, you don't hear anything live, and I hear it all. So
yeah.
yeah,
I just kind of honestly go by your like facial cues.
yeah. Which are also delayed because we're on a Discord call.
Yeah.
Like by a few
Yep.
milliseconds. Like, but so yeah, what I mean, we already know what you've probably been playing mostly. You've been kind of playing the same. We've both been playing the same thing. So why don't we just catch up? What's the new? What's the new in Diablo 4? I think last time we talked, you'd switched to the on the podcast. Did we talk about your rogue yet? That you switched to the rogue? I know you're playing mostly
Um.
the necro, but I feel like we last week were you playing as the rogue last week before we did the pod?
No, I don't think I was. I think I had talked about how I like stopped playing it because I was like, "Oh, I'm gonna play the Necro," and then I was like, "I don't want to play with you anymore." And now the roles reversed. I think I posted the same exact meme on my Twitter page, only it was reversed, and it says me on Andy, and on Woody it says the Necromancer, and it's just like, I don't want to play with you anymore because uh I reworked my rogue and now I like really love it.
Right.
Although I am contemplating changing it again just slightly.
You're never happy.
Because
You're
it's
never satisfied.
because it's me. As Slick always
Well,
says,
I
I'm
also
I'm
feel
never
too
happy.
like when I did play those games, I know we were kind of talking to your friend before the podcast, talking about how he was surprised that I wasn't playing it. But yeah, when I did play those games, I would get to a point with a character where I just like it's not that I hated playing as them, it's like I just needed a change up. So I'd
Yep.
switch to a different class. So it would change my play style because I got tired of just casting spells all the time. Maybe I'd want to play with more ranged character. Um, but yeah, yeah. Um,
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun. I finished out the story for a second time because I'm a loser and I started 2 characters before finishing the story. Uh So that's the thing with this one. If you are thinking about making an alt character, I highly suggest waiting. Just wait. Just finish the story first on one character, and then make your alt characters. Because once you've beaten the story one time, when you start an alternate character, it literally says after the character creation, you get a prompt that says, "Would you like to skip the story? Yes or no?" And then you can literally just click yes,
and it
and it
just
just
cuts
poops you in
out.
the world, and you don't have to do the stupid story quests. You can just start doing whatever you want, power leveling yourself and stuff.
Nice.
Um, we did manage on stream. We finished out the story. I was skipping most of the cutscenes, but I was generous enough to the chat, and we did watch a couple of the cutscene videos. I was telling you before when we were kind of bantering back and forth before we started the cast that there's one in particular, like if you don't play the game, you should look it up. And it's like a battle scene between like Heaven's Army and Hell, like while you're in Hell. And I definitely had to let that play out for the Twitch chat because it's my favorite cutscene in the whole game, and it's just so well done. Like they walk in, it's got like the kind of like choir holy music in the background, and it's like super dark because it's hell. And Anarius, who's the angel in this one, he kind of like touches his finger like and it makes like a ripple wave, and it lights up the whole area, and you see the whole like hell army, dude. And it's just like, oh shit, like this shit's about to get heavy, dude. And yeah, and then the whole cutscene like kind of proceeds out, and it's pretty badass. So we finished that out. I did the capstone dungeon, so we were able to move from tier 2 to tier 3. All the stuff I read though was kind of a little bit ludicrous because everybody's like, oh, the difficulty jumps pretty extreme. You'll feel really weak when you go from 2 to 3. Nope. I still feel extremely powerful.
Right.
But it's kind of cool. They have little tutorials to kind of walk you through the new stuff to experience in 3. So now you have like hell tides that randomly spawn in the world. And don't quote me on this, but I think they last for about 2 hours and then it's done. And so what it is basically a certain area becomes the hell tide. You go there, enemies you kill, or you have like just like world events in that area. When you do those and complete them, you get these like smoldering ashes, I want to say, something like that.
Mhm.
And you have to spend them at these chests. If you open up your map, they have all these random chests everywhere, and it'll tell you like, this is a weapons chest, this is a chest of protection, which will be like a random armor piece. And when you go to open like that chest, it'll tell you like chest of the protector boots or something. So you know when you open it, it's going to give you like a piece of armor that's going to be boots or whatever.
Right.
And each one is a specified amount of ashes to open. So the caveat is you have to spend the ashes before the hell tide's over, because once it recedes, all those ashes disappear. So I've done that once now, and that was super fun. It's definitely kind of hard, especially if you're by yourself, like, and you're getting mobbed by enemies. But I got a super lucky drop. I got a unique dagger for the rogue. That's one of the best in slot weapons you can get if you use combo points. And I got a near perfect roll on all the stats on it. So
Damn.
yeah,
You lucked out with that. That's yeah.
it's crazy. Like,
Was that
I
the thing
like
that
when,
you and Erskine were talking about online? You guys
yeah,
are going back and forth about. Shout outs to our
yep,
buddy, friend of the show. Even though I don't think he's ever listened yet, but friend of both of us. He's a friend of the show.
yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, it's crazy too because people are like, what do you mean by like a roll on it? And I'm like, well, here's the thing, go into your options, scroll down, you're going to see a little box that says advanced tooltip. Check mark that box and save that setting. And that way, when you scroll over an item, it shows you what you're gaining, what you're losing, but then it shows you the stat roll. So it'll say that it does, like, for example, damage reduction 2% to 4%, and then it shows what yours is. So it shows you the minimum roll for the item and the max roll for the item. Oh, that dagger is almost a
Oh, we're losing you.
what?
Oh, you're back. You're back.
Oh, I'm back.
Yep.
I'm back. Like the dinosaur movie. So yeah, that's pretty cool. I'm trying to think of what else there is. Oh, you now have access to like the whispering tree, so you can do certain things, and you get these, like, they're called grim favors. And when you get enough of them, you go back to a whispering tree and you can turn it in for. When I did it the first time, because I've only done it the once, the requirement for like the tutorial quest
Mhm.
for it, it gave me the option between 3 boxes that you can pick, and it tells you like what kind of items you can expect from it. And then you open it up and it like spits a bunch of items out.
Right.
And so you can get like gear like that too. And then I think the last thing I did was that I was doing actually before we started. So now you have access to nightmare dungeons. So you get these little like
Yep, you were telling me about
uh,
that right before we started a little bit, but yeah, you can go into it.
yeah, you get like a little idol or something like that, and then apparently you can craft them and shit later on to make them like better. And so when you use one, it turns one of the normal dungeons in the world into a nightmare dungeon. And then you have the option you can just teleport straight to the dungeon, even if you've never been there before. You can teleport straight to the nightmare dungeon once you use it, which is awesome. Because I'm not trying to walk anywhere. I'm gonna be honest with you. Like if I can just insta teleport somewhere, I'm all about that. um, and those are cool because you get obviously you get better gear. The enemies tend to be harder. You get glyph experience. So they have a whole after level 50, instead of getting stats, you get a paragon board, which is a whole, I don't even want to get into that, but basically ways to increase your stats. And on each paragon board, there's usually at least like one glyph socket, and you can swap that out for whatever you want. So you get glyphs from the dungeons and stuff in the nightmare dungeons, but the only way you can level a glyph it up and make it stronger is by running nightmare dungeons. And then I think the last thing is I think that's it. So yeah, it's been kind of cool. I'm like learning as I go. I'm almost level 60 now. And tier 3, the cap out for the level, quote unquote, is
Right.
70. So I'm
Um,
about halfway through now of
okay.
that. So yeah, it's been pretty cool.
If you had to guess, because we don't know, but how much longer do you think you're going to be playing it? Is this something that you're going to play? Are you going to go pro? Is what I want to know. Are you,
Uh,
are you
I
clanning? Are you
mean,
clanning up? Are you just like, this is just like a stepping stone to your Diablo 4 pro career? Like,
I'm probably not going to go pro for sure, but this is definitely something I'm going to continue to play. I mean, I'll probably play other stuff because obviously, like, I've been checking out snippets of 16 from what you've been streaming and stuff and watching
oh,
stuff. So, like, I definitely do want to check that out at some point. But like, this is going to be like my constant, right? Like, I've got like something that
your check
I'll
back in
always go
game.
back to
Yeah.
now. Mm-hmm.
Kind of like
This,
some people with Destiny and things like that. It'll be this
yep.
will be your Destiny because I know Destiny is that with a
Mm-hmm.
lot of people. And I got to give
Well,
a shout out to one person in the chat real quick, Johnny Ringo. He's always we always
oh, the
mention him on
old
the
Johnny.
podcast. He's actually hanging out in here, so I got to give him a quick shout out for actually being on. Thanks for hopping in, John. Continue, Brandon.
We love you, bro.
Yep.
Um, and then here's the other thing too. So, our friend that we mentioned earlier, music, he was talking to me the other night. Actually, it was yesterday before D&D because we were just piddling around together. So they have season 1 coming up. So D4, they have this thing for people that don't know called seasons, and what that is basically I think it's for like a month long. He said something like that, but basically it's like rolling a temporarily wow, I can't talk. A temporary new character to play for the season, and you're basically trying to be the best of whatever that kind of character is you make, right? Like that's the whole thing. You get like unique armors and stuff like that f- for that season, and then after the month it closes, and then whenever they do the next one you start over again. So it's kind of
Right.
like it's a way to keep it fresh. And if you want like a kind of a quote unquote competitive aspect, it's kind of nice, right? Because you and your friends can both start characters to be like, well, I'm going to be the better character this season or whatever. I'm going to be higher rank than you. So, like, you're technically not really fighting each other, but like, it is like a friendly competition, right?
Right.
Between
Right.
like whose build's better or whatever. Yeah.
Nice. Nice. Um. Yeah. Well, it's funny. You said you were playing right up until the podcast. I was playing right up until I started getting the stuff around for the podcast.
Mm.
I was playing, of course, more Final Fantasy 16. I am going to just say straight up right here, spoiler warning, because I am going to go into a little bit of spoilers into like the first kind of big-ish quest line in the game. Also content and trigger warning for talks of implied rape. So if you don't want to hear stuff about that, I'm gonna try to
Yikes.
put a content warning in there. If you don't want to hear about that, it's just a
All right,
small
we're
part,
getting
but
juicy, I
yeah,
guess.
it's getting, yeah. So where do we leave off last time? I was getting ready to go after Benedicta, um, who is the girl who has the icon of wind, Garuda. Um, and oh man, it's getting real good. Um, the combat is still real fun. Sid is fucking hot. He is real sexy in this game. I
Hot
will
hot
just
boy summer.
it is hot boy summer, everybody, and Sid is leading the charge. Um, so you kind of find out though, in the story that like him and Benedicta were ex-lovers. And they
Oh.
both served the kingdom of Waloed for a while, and he left. He fled to start his little commune of like people just trying to not be used, because we kind of talked about that in the last episode, that
Mhm.
he has his own little hideaway, which I did explore a little bit more. um and we'll get to that here in a minute. But yeah, it alludes, and this girl's with everybody, Benedicta, because she was making out with Kruga in the first, I think that's his name, the dude who was the icon of Earth, Titan. But then she's also with the King of Waloed, because they showed her with him. But then she
Mm.
also used to be with, and the king even calls her out of it in a scene. He was like, "I know you still have feelings for Sid, because that was like her one true love." And it's like, ooh, getting juicy. Um,
Oh, she's a little hussy.
so
Okay.
so hey, she can do what she wants. She is just trying to get satisfied, all right? Um uh so you get to the point to where you're going after her, because there's rumors that she might know where this other icon of fire is, cuz she's apparently going after it too. Um so you eventually track her down. You find out that the dominants can kind of half transform, to where like they don't fully transform into the dominant, but they grow features. So like in her example, like she grew wings like
Okay.
Garuda did, but didn't fully transform into Garuda. So I fought her, and then the big twist of the game is right before you're about to kill her, you absorb her power. So now you have kind of like how you have the blessing of the Phoenix, but you can't turn into the icon like your brother gave you that blessing. You basically now took a blessing from her, and now you have the wind powers. She can still transform, because now I'm getting ready to go fight her as Garuda, all out of control. Because she's pissed that I took a part of it, because she's now weak because I took a part of her power.
Mm.
Um, but now that's how
Get your
you
hands out
so
of my
that's how they
pocket.
rolled into how, so you're now this like, and Sid's even like, "How the fuck did you do that?" Like, and you're like, "I don't know." So now you're this guy that can go around and like absorb other people's powers, like, and have them for your own. And as soon as that opened up, so the reason why I built up this story stuff is to get the gameplay. Soon as that happened, oh, did the gameplay just get 10 times more satisfying if it wasn't satisfying already? Because now I can hit L2 anytime I want to flip between the wind powers and the fire powers, like your fire specials and stuff. So
Hell
I
yeah.
went from like, they brought back in, I told you in the last episode and the episode before, they brought back in the stagger mechanic. And it kind of took a while to
Oh yeah,
build up
yeah,
the
yeah,
stagger
yeah.
mechanic. I am staggering enemies so fucking fast now, because I just have that one extra icon. Because like, you know how like that flame one would zip you into them, the
Mhm.
wind version of it actually pulls them towards you. So it's like the same sort of
Oh,
concept, but it's the
nice.
same thing. So I can like zip towards them or pull them towards me, flip to the fire specials, pop off both fire specials quickly, and then they're juggled in the air, flip to the back to the wind specials, do those, and then they're fucking staggered. Just like
Oh
that.
yeah.
And oh, it's getting so good, like so fluid. I can't wait to get a third one,
Satisfying.
because you, like I said, you're gonna clip up to 3 at a time. And I only have 2
Oh
so
man.
far. So I'm waiting to get a third one, like a lightning one, or well, I don't know if I'll get a lightning one because Sid's the lightning one, and I'd have to steal his power to get that. And I love
Or maybe
Sid.
maybe he finds out a way to just
Give it to
give
you.
it to you.
Yeah. Um, And yeah, all jokes aside, Sid is fucking awesome in this game. Aside from being hot, um, he's like arguably like probably one of the best characters right now. Um,
Now, I don't know if I ever asked you, did they like ever confirm what icons are in the game?
so I know they did it originally in the original trailer, but I know they have Ifrit, or they pronounce it Ifrit, but I always say Ifrit in
Hmm.
my head. Bahamut,
Yeah.
um, Shiva,
Oh,
Garuda, Phoenix, Titan. Um,
Odin?
I think Odin was in the trailer.
Oh,
In one of the original trailers. There's at least 8, because in the story they talk about how each nation has their own icon, and there's 8 of them. And
mm,
then they also allude that in the opening hours of the game, when you have 2 icons of fire fighting each other, it's like, how can there
mm,
be more than one icon of fire? So that's why I say at least 8, because I feel like that they're alluding to that there's
mhm.
like more out there that
Sure.
so
Dude, could you imagine getting like a blessing of Bahamut, bro? Swap into that and just like massacring
I
people.
believe he's the guardian of the empire. I want to say the Sanbri Empire. I think that's what the name of it is. The Holy Empire of Sanbri. I think that's what it is. But um,
Give him the
yeah.
old Giga Flare.
And then
Yeah.
the one this is a very 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 minor complaint, because it's actually just me being a fucking idiot. Um, but so between each mission you can go back to the hideaway. And the hideaway has, like, it has a blacksmith, it has a little item shop, and just little things you do. It has a guy that you can go and like go back and like read up on all the lore that you may have missed, cutscenes, things like that. So I'd go to the item shop, I'd buy some upgraded items, and then I'd go to the blacksmith and find out that now, because that those items are now available in the shop, the blueprints for those items are now available at the blacksmith, and they're better. So I wasted my fucking
Damn.
money buying the cheap versions just to make better versions of them at the blacksmith.
Damn.
So, hot tip to anybody playing FF16, and I should have known better, because like I'm usually that person that's like, don't buy weapons, don't buy stuff. I'll usually find better things. But I wasn't really finding a ton, so I was like, okay, maybe I'll just buy things. I have a ton of fucking gil right now. I'll just buy these. Why not? Um, but hot tip, just go and make them, because if you see it in the item shop, 9 times out of 10, if it's appeared there, the blueprint has appeared in the blacksmith shop. So don't waste your money. Don't waste your money buying it when you can make, like, I bought an item that was 20, had an armor of base of 30, but the version that I could make had a base of 33, and I could upgrade it to 38. So like
Mm.
even the base version that you can make is already better than the one that you can buy. So that's my point. It's just like, if you see a new item in the item shop, before you go and purchase it, go to see if they've unlocked it. It doesn't always unlock the blueprint, but usually it unlocks at least 1 or 2 of the new items blueprints in the blacksmith. So go to the blacksmith and see if you can make a better version of it first before going and buying it.
Mm-hmm.
Hot tip. Um, but yeah, I am just fucking loving that game. I want to play more after we're off this podcast. That's all I want to do, is play more Final Fantasy 16. Um I'm
Mm-hmm.
having so much fun with it. I streamed a little bit more of it. I didn't put that on the Black Box channel. It was really really dark for some reason. My stream that night. Um and then, I was going to get in the story. I guess the content warning. Um
Well, yeah.
yeah, I
I was
said it and
starting to
then I never
wonder,
got to it.
like,
Um
well, I was just
there's a
gonna
part in the
say, you're
story that
like,
when her power got stolen, that's the other part I want to bring up in the story, where people can get got that you think will just make it through the story all the time. So her right hand man that's always with her was carrying her off the battlefield after she got her power absorbed, right? Benedicta got her power
mm-hmm,
absorbed. They're walking off, they're fleeing, and you're kind of fleeing too, because shit's kind of hitting the fan, and it's kind of better for both sides to retreat. And then all of a sudden, as the guy's like dragging Benedict off, being like, it's all right, well, I got you, an axe fucking hits him in the head. Boom,
damn.
dead. And then it hits all the other guards in the head too. And then basically bandits show up. And basically are like, imply that like, oh, I bet you she'll fetch a pretty good price, but I think we should sample the goods first. Um, I'm sure we can all put two and two together of what they're implying. Um, but that's when she like snaps and starts losing control and turns into Garuda. That like moment, kind of like a fight or flight situation.
Mm,
Um, but uh, good on her for fighting them assholes off. But yeah, so I feel like she's gonna join our side. I feel like she's either gonna join us or be that like half in, half out. Like she's gonna occasionally help us, but then not. She's Catwoman. That's what I feel like. Like
right.
that's what I feel like. But I've been enjoying the game so much, dude. Like
Heck yeah.
I've been having such a great time with it. I know some people have been uh, talking about. I didn't throw this in the news section, but they've been talking about how it's not been selling as well. But I not to defend poor sales, but it not a lot of people have PS5s yet, and this is a PS5 exclusive. So out of the how many million PS5s that are out there, it's sold I think 3 million copies so far. Which isn't like amazing, but it's not terrible either. So um
Right.
I don't know. I think people were also very skeptical about this one too. So because it's so different. It's not it's more action based. The story's definitely, I mean, as you can see, definitely taking a darker turn. Um, so I don't know though. I still highly recommend it. I'm having a good time. We'll have to check back though as I get farther in it. Hopefully I'll be getting farther in it tonight because oh my god, it's getting so good. Um,
Mm.
but yeah, I guess with that, do you want to get into the news?
Yeah, let's hear some juicy stories this
Yeah.
week on how petty can you be?
Oh god, yeah. We will get there. We have a story before that, but we will get there. So first story, and this is kind of a hallelujah moment. Nintendo, this comes from GameSpot, but it was kind of all over the place.
Hmm.
Nintendo has said with their next console, they will keep the same account system that you started on the Nintendo Switch. Hallelujah. We're finally gonna have like a unified account system like the other two console competitors. So that means all your
Yeah, tell
purchases
me
will
about it.
means your purchases will carry over, all that stuff will carry over. They never used to do that. Like I've bought the same game on a DS, a 3DS, and on a Switch because the account systems were not the same. So the fact that it's gonna be finally unified, I'm super excited about. What do you think?
Dude, that's a step in the right direction. Let's give take a moment of silence for Nintendo's shitty online service because they actually are taking a
It's a
dub this
step.
time,
It's
it
a step.
sounds like.
Yeah, it's not let's temper it a little bit. That's not that you still have to use a third party app to chat through the freaking through the console hooked up to your
Well,
phone. You still have, but this is a step in the right direction for sure
yeah.
of like having it
Yeah.
unified.
Yeah, having the like linked account or account that yeah, definitely a step.
You're cutting out again.
Microsoft and
There
am
you
I
go.
here?
There you go.
Microsoft and PlayStation have been doing that forever, and that's
Yep.
super nice.
PlayStation's been doing it since the PS3 ish, and then Microsoft's been doing it since the original Xbox. Before there was Xbox Live, when it was Xbox Connect. It's still they had the same account even like when they upgraded it to Xbox Live from Xbox Connect. That those accounts transferred over. So, um,
Hmm.
yeah, just bravo Nintendo. It's about fucking time. But hey, better late than never. I will say that. Um,
Definitely.
and here we go. The Microsoft block. We're gonna start with the light news coming from The Verge. Um, Microsoft is hiking the price of the Xbox Series X and Xbox Game Pass. It looks like it's not going to be going up in a Game Pass is going to be going up everywhere. And the Xbox Series X is going to be increasing. Um, looks like let me just read this here. Microsoft is increasing its Xbox Series X prices in most countries in August, apart from US, Japan, Chile, Brazil, and Colombia. So if you're not one of those that I listed, expect it to go up. It looks like the price is going to be so currently in the UK it's 479. It would then be 549. In
Mm.
Canada it's 649. Or Nope. In Canada, it would bring it up to 649. In Australia, it would bring it up to 799. It looks like it's basically the equivalent of like a $50 price increase. Is what I'm
Okay.
saying, which we kind of saw Sony do that before. And then it
Hmm.
looks like Game Pass is going to be uh going to be going up $1. The base Game Pass is going from 9.99 to 10.99. And Game Pass Ultimate is going from 14.99 to 16.99. Um, so I don't know. I'll start with you. What do you think about the price hikes? Good, bad, not that big of a deal because it's not like a huge hike.
No, I was gonna say it's really not that bad, especially Game Pass. That's still decent. I mean, for
Yeah,
Ultimate, you're paying right around 15, $16 a month. That's a
that's
pretty
a
standard
$2 price.
monthly
A
subs.
$2 price increase is not bad. No.
No, in that I was gonna say that like anybody that's ever played like an MMO or anything like that, that's about a normal monthly subscription fee anyway. $15. I mean, that is really not that bad.
And also that does include it's 16.99, but that does include like your normal like live subscription too. So like you get live and Game
Hmm.
Pass on top of that. So
Yep.
that's pretty good. The consoles going up, that doesn't surprise me because Sony did the same thing. We've kind of seen them going up slowly in other regions. Um, so and inflation, it's been a bitch. These consoles already launched at a loss, and now they're like, maybe we should. They launched these boxes too cheap. As much as we hate to say that, they probably should have charged six for the PlayStation and for the. I mean, they should have. Like as much as I hate saying that, as somebody who likes to spend money on this stuff, and that with the tech that's inside this box and the current, like they're yeah, they have to do something if they're not seeing the big boom in sales and they're not seeing. I think the other thing too is
They got
usually
to offset the cost.
well, normally they offset the cost with software, but the problem with coming out of COVID is software. You've noticed the game releases have slowed. Your
Yep.
big tentpole releases, we still get them, but we don't get as many throughout the year. They're catching back up now, but that's what used to help people or used to help them make their money back on that. They could sell the consoles at a loss and make that money back on the software sales. But if the software pipeline is kind of slowed, now you kind of got to adjust to figure out,
Yep.
So it makes sense. It's you don't like to see it, but what are you gonna do? I mean, in Game Pass, I that's still a killer deal. I mean, that doesn't
Yeah.
bother me one bit. Um, so the next chunk of Xbox news, the reason why I've got all these different little stories is a lot of these come from leaked emails because the FTC started their court hearing for Microsoft over the last week. Um, and this first one comes from Slash Gear, but it was all over Twitter. The big thing, and he did it. Phil Spencer, Microsoft's CEO or Xbox CEO, swore under oath that he will keep Call of Duty on PS5 for the ongoing future. I think I want to say, did he say for 10 years? But I don't think he said a date. But I will continue to keep. It says, let's see the exact quote. Uh, Pulling Call of Duty from PlayStation, in my view, would create irreparable harm for the Xbox brand. Spencer continued, "My commitment and my testimony is that we will continue to ship future versions of Call of Duty on Sony's PlayStation 5." Um, you swore under oath. So what do you think
Yep.
about that? Like, actually, like you can now you've actually said something in court. This changes things. So you could definitely this gives Sony something to go back to if they ever go back on that. I don't know. What do you think? Oh, this story came from
Um,
Slash Gear, by the way. Sorry. Shout outs to Slash Gear. But
Honestly, we talk about this every week. This deal's going through whether people want it to or not. Like it's gonna happen. They're going to acquire them. So I think this is a step in the right direction. Like you said, he's now sworn under oath in front of people that he's going to keep it there. And honestly, what he said, I have to agree with. That would make irreparable damage, dude. You're going to lose
that's
such a huge fan base if you were to pull that
you
off
are
of a specific console.
even though me and you don't really play it anymore, Call of Duty's such a fucking moneymaker. And
Hmm.
if you stop selling that on Sony platforms, you are literally setting fire to half of your revenue. Like,
Yeah, you're
have your
just
revenue.
literally gonna take a good chunk of your money
Yeah.
and throw it in the
I
trash
don't
can.
wanna I don't know if it's 50% of players play on PlayStation, 50%. I don't know what that split is, but I know, let's say, during the Xbox 360 generation, all the major Call of Duty tournaments were on the 360. During the PS4 generation, all the major Call of Duty tournaments were on PS4. I don't know what it is now. I've fallen out of that whole scene. Point being, there's large player bases on both. So,
Mhm.
you would be taking a massive hit even if it was only 30%, 30% of Call of Duty players is probably still a lot of fucking money that you're just
Yeah.
pissing down the drain because you don't want to ship on a different platform. And I would like to say there's probably more people that play Call of Duty on Sony platforms than play it on Microsoft platforms. Just taking a
Yeah.
stab. Um, Maybe it's starting to flip the other way. But I don't know. Yeah, you'd be shooting yourself in the foot. Long story short.
Oh,
So I don't
indefinitely.
I don't see Phil Spencer going back on that because Call of Duty is the big money maker.
Mhm.
That I feel like Call of Duty being on everything will allow them to keep the other stuff exclusive, like your
Yep.
Bethesda games and stuff like that, because
Yep.
they're already taking a hit. Yeah, you got to think when the next Fallout ships, that's going to be an Xbox exclusive. When Starfield ships, that's going to be an Xbox exclusive. Bethesda's a studio that's used to having multiple revenue streams from all sources coming in, and now they're losing that
Mhm.
Sony business. That's a smaller franchise in comparison to Call of Duty as far as money making.
Mhm.
So to do that, they're probably going to want to offset that by keeping Call of Duty everywhere. Um,
Yeah.
I know you said that you think that this transaction's going through, but now I'm kind of questioning it because during all this, a lot of bad dirt came out about Microsoft. So, you know how Microsoft has been painting this picture about how we want to play with everybody. We're not this yada yada
Yeah.
yada yada. Well, a lot of fucking emails came out because they obviously started looking into both Sony's emails and both Microsoft's emails. And a lot of emails are kind of pointing at the contrary. First one comes from
Mm.
IEN. According to some emails during the FTC Microsoft trial, it looks like that Hitman developers IO, their upcoming fantasy game that they teased last year, they were in talks to make that an Xbox exclusive. Um,
Mm.
so it's the code name for it was Project Dragon. I don't know if you remember seeing it last year at E3. They kind of teased that, you know, the Hitman team is moving on. They want to do a fantasy thing. Um, it kind of doesn't surprise me too much because I think Microsoft Studios is publishing it. So that doesn't really surprise me that that would be exclusive. But that's kind of the first
Right.
hint of Microsoft being the whole, oh, we're going to play ball, you know, but then kind of doing these deals to
Y-
like,
Yeah. Yeah.
yep.
Yeah. Shady back alley deals. Yeah.
Yeah. So what do you think about this first one? Is this like a big red flag, or is this kind of like, they were gonna publish it anyway, so it doesn't surprise me?
This one's more of an to me. It's just like you said that they were probably going to publish it anyways. So I mean, I'm
Yeah.
not super shocking on this.
Yeah. Well, here we go with the next one that shots fired. Um,
Yeah.
this one comes from Eurogamer. Matt Booty, Xbox executive, literally was quoted in an email from 2019 that says, let's see, where can I find the quote? We are in a very unique position to be able to spend Sony out of business. So they're saying they want to play ball with everybody, but Matt Booty in 2019, one of the execs at the Microsoft game division, literally saying that their plan, their strategy going forward is to try to buy everybody up so Sony can't would be forced to either concede or work with Microsoft. What do you
Yeah,
think?
that is not good. That is not a good look.
Yeah.
I'm just being honest. It's not super surprising to me that they said that in an email. Like that does honestly does not shock me at all. But that that is not a good look.
Yeah,
That
we were
is
just talking about the
real not a good look.
this is literally showing the opposite of what you're saying. Like
Mm-hmm.
the other stuff you can kind of say, but this is flat out in an email from Matt Booty saying that we are in a position to spend Sony out of business. That's just flat out. That's blatant. So
So when they were like, "Oh, I promise we'll keep it on PlayStation." What they don't tell you is we'll keep it on there, but then we'll just try and spend them out of business, so it doesn't matter anyways.
Also, if you go back to that
You know
story,
what
the
I mean?
keywords were, "We plan on keeping it on PlayStation 5." What happens when the PlayStation 6 comes out? Or the next, like, does that
Yeah,
all of a sudden go
right.
away? Like, cause, but yeah,
Yeah.
dude. So now it's just like, uh-oh, uh-oh,
Sketch. It's kind
uh-oh,
of sus.
uh-oh.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and the last,
Where's my button at? Brr, we need to call. We need to call emergency meeting.
yeah,
So shit's real sus right now.
right, right. And then the next one from this block, you actually texted me this earlier in the week because you thought it was an actually happening, but then I was like, I had to dig into it a little bit more. Um, in 2020, Microsoft, this comes from GameSpot, but it's all over, so you're gonna have to
All
Google
over the
all over
place.
the place. And it's more than just these guys. But Microsoft considered buying Sega, Niantic, and Bungie to bolster Game Pass and mobile business. But I also saw they were considering buying Supergiant. Oh yeah, it's actually right here. IO, the people that we were just talking about, and Supergiant, which are the people who made Hades, so which is a real
Yep.
big indie developer.
Yep.
So they're not only do we have Matt Booty saying that we plan on spending them out of business, but now we have evidence through email that they were not just planning on buying these, they were planning on buying a lot.
Yeah. They
Um,
were actively looking.
yeah.
Yeah.
And what's really funny is they were trying to buy Bungie again. They had Bungie. Bungie left like after Halo to go do Destiny. And then Activision had a partnership with Bungie, and then Bungie left them, and now Microsoft actually looked. They're like, yeah, well, why don't we just try again? What if we just try again? Like that was the
Yeah.
weird one for me. I was like, you're really gonna try to buy Bungie again? And now Sony owns Bungie, which is really funny. But yeah, so all I'm saying, well, let me get what your take on it. My little take before I get super into it is just like like I said, Matt Booty's saying that they plan to spend money on business, and now we have evidence saying that they
Were. Yeah.
they bought Bethesda, they're trying to buy Activision, and they don't show signs of stopping. Is my
No.
yeah.
They're trying to consolidate everything under one company. And you know what that is going to do? That is, in the end, that is going to hurt all of us.
Mm-hmm. Look at Disney.
Because, yeah. Oh, yeah. What
I
happens is you buy everything up, it gets watered the fuck
I
down.
have a love-hate relationship with Disney because I feel like the Disney proper stuff is still good, but like look at Marvel. I'm sorry. I can't. Anytime on Marvel anything is announced, I mean, I have superhero fatigue in general, but anytime on Marvel anything is announced now, I just roll my eyes because it's just like and you have all these talented people using Marvel as an example. It's like they come up with like a unique movie and they pitch it and it's like, okay, but what if we just made you make a Marvel movie instead? That could very
Yeah.
much happen with Xbox. If Xbox is like we've been talking about is on this mission to become the Netflix of games. They want to have everybody under us so we can stream everything out via Game Pass and we don't even need to sell you a box anymore. That's
Yep.
their strategy. That's what they've been
Yep.
going for. And if they go down this road, eventually it's going to be like I have this really great idea for a game. Okay, why don't you go make a Call of Duty instead?
Yeah.
Because
I can,
Xbox, you got to go through Xbox to approve everything to even
I
get on
can
their
see
platform.
it right now. Cue that scene with this is way out here. You probably won't recognize this, but I know Shauna would. Years ago, when Kanye West got up on the stage there, this is exactly what is going to happen with Microsoft. They're going to buy a company. They're going to be like, "Hey, I got this great idea for this game," and Microsoft's going to go, "That's cool, and I'm going to let you finish, but you should just make a Call of Duty game." Or
Yeah,
you know what I
you
mean?
should just
Like I can
assist on a
just see
Bethesda
it
game.
now.
Yeah. Yeah. And John brings up in the chat Star Wars, same thing. Like Star Wars is a big miss. Like
Oh
well
yeah,
not
dude.
completely. There's some bright spots in Star Wars, but they're not like Rogue One was good, Mandalorian's good. But other than that, I mean it's been rough. But the point being that this consolidation isn't it may not show sign like negative effects now, but like 10 years from now, look at Live Nation and Ticketmaster. All that stuff going on now because Live Nation and Ticketmaster are the same company to get your tickets from. They can just jack the prices for however much they want. Same sort of
Yep.
thing. And it is a hell of a lot harder to undo a merger once it's already gone through, or an acquisition once it's already
Hmm.
gone through. You can regulate the fuck out of it. They're trying to do it. And I believe we are kind of running out of time. Uh, that soon that this transaction could go through and we could see ourselves in a world where this court case continues, but the transaction has already gone through. And now we're trying to undo this transaction, which is going to be a hell of a lot harder to try to do. Then
Yep.
yeah. So Microsoft is also they're trying to clear. If you look at all the moves they're making, they're trying to clear everything too to try to push this thing through as fast as possible. So because they know that they know if it goes through and they're still not through their court battle, it's just going to jam it up even more because now they got to undo it. And that's just a headache for everybody. Um, we need an Eddie Vedder to warn us like he did with Ticketmaster. I know, right? I feel like it's just me because like even a lot of the podcasts that I listen to, um, a few of them are like, "Oh, they don't see like the big problem with this," and I'm like, "How do you not see the big problem with this?" Um, no offense, but like
Yeah, I'm
I
telling you, they consolidate it all under one roof. It gets watered down, and then they just keep spitting out garbage, dude.
mm-hmm. And yeah, that's what's gonna happen. And yeah. Last few stories here. And you know how we talked about, I think on the last podcast, that the next two E3s were canceled? Um,
Mm-hmm.
apparently not. The convention center that the E3 was held at said that they are not booking E3 for 2024 or 2025. The ESA though says that they who puts on E3, this comes from GameSpot, has said no decision has been made yet. Um, what do you think? What do you think of that? About do you find do you think they could find another venue? Um,
Mm,
I feel like
I
that
don't
ship.
know.
I feel like the ship has sailed too. Like we've had so many
Yes.
years since COVID with E3 just already being on life support. Um,
Yeah.
and like it's been getting smaller and smaller. A lot of them have been live streamed events where the like companies are just sending in live streams instead of actually showing
Yeah.
up. Um, I don't know, man. I feel like
I, I just don't think it's. I don't think it's gonna happen, dude. Lots of people, even now, like this is years after the COVID lockdown, there's still a good chunk of people that are freaked out, still wear masks, all that stuff.
it's
And
not even that. E3 has been on its deathbed long before COVID. COVID just sped it up.
well, yeah, no, I know. I'm just saying though, like it doesn't make any sense. Like, and a lot of these people are getting huge turnouts for these live streams. I mean, look at the
Right.
Nintendo thing we just had. When I tuned in, dude, it was at like millions of
Well, and
viewers. You know what I
it's
mean?
not even in taking COVID out of it, like we talked about, it saves the companies money to just
Way more money.
slam up an hour-long presentation or a PowerPoint or something simple than it is to fly all these people out to this event, set up this booth, rent out this area. Like, why do that? Like, waste all that time and money and resources doing all that
And you can potentially get way more viewers just doing a live stream, anyways, because you got people like me, you, and friend of the stream, Dustin, that were all watching it like
at work. Like, we can
at
watch it at
work.
work. Yeah. Yeah. Like I would have it on in the background and stuff like that. Yeah. They don't I don't get it. Like I don't I think E3 like I said, it was struggling for a while because even before COVID, you started having like PAX popping up and all these other like
Mm-hmm.
festivals that were better for they tried to turn E3 into a convention, and E3 was never a convention. It was a trade show. It was a business show. The only people that ever
Mm-hmm.
got into E3 were press and people who worked in the industry. The
Yep.
fans who got into E3 snuck in until the last couple of years they started turning it into a fan event, but they already had a fan event because PAX has 4 different events around the year. You have Gamescom.
Mm-hmm.
You have all these different events that let fans in. And then E3 tried to do this thing where like they wanted to stay relevant, so they did that to catch up, and then they weren't prepared to have the public there. So that
Yep.
shot them in the foot. And then now this I just think we're E3's done. I
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't need to happen anymore. Is Summer Games Fest perfect? No. But it kind of serves its purpose and fills
Yep.
that void that E3 and all the other events around it. You have, you know, Guerrilla Collective. You have Sony has theirs. Everybody has their own showcase now, so
Mm-hmm.
you don't need to have it all housed under. I mean, I guess it was kind of cool to go like have people go and all be at the same location to like network and stuff. But other than that, I don't really see the point anymore.
Nope.
Oh, I forgot to freaking put this story in here. I'm gonna skip ahead here a little bit. This is a small one. Multiverse is officially shut down on June 25th. That was the platform shooter that was kind of set in the Warner Brothers universe. That is officially shut down. They said that it was in beta though, and they plan on being back in early 2020. And that just comes from their website. And then the other thing for
Early,
that I meant to,
early what? Early
or oh,
2020?
I'm sorry, early 2020 or late 2023. Wow.
Okay. I was like, bro, you're going back in time
Yeah,
at this point.
yeah. It's been a long weekend. Um, and then the other kind of small story, which this blew my fucking mind. Perfect Dark is still 2 to 3 years away. This should have been in the Microsoft block, but that game was shown 2 years ago. It was announced like 2 or 3 years ago, like 2018 or no, 2018, I think. And they're saying that it's just now in the early stages.
And it has the word perfect in its title. They just want it to be perfect. The Perfect Dark.
I'm gonna pull the microphone nice and close to me for a second. What have you been doing for, since 2018? What have you been doing? We've said this about other games, but like, what have you been doing?
Perfect Dark's on a milk carton like that other game.
Beyond Good and Evil? Yeah. Beyond Good and Evil 2? Yeah. Like, I want to do Perfect Dark so bad. But that was the smaller stuff that I forgot to look up the sources for. But you can look that up. It was said. Next story comes to Video Games Chronicle though, and this really doesn't surprise me. I'll get your take on it. THQ Nordic has said that all future box PC games from their company will receive very few printed runs, basically physical releases. What do you think about that?
Not a shocker. You have Steam. We bring this up all the time. You have places like Steam and stuff. A lot of people don't physically go out and buy computer games. Nobody does. And even in the console realm, it's few and far between now too.
Well,
but
I've bought a PC game
been like that for a long time.
Yeah, you go to GameStop or anywhere and you go buy like a PC game on the shelf, you open up and it's a code. There's no disc in there. Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, I'm not surprised. Because like I said, you have I bring it up a million times. You bring it up. We have Steam now.
Yeah.
I literally, when I buy computer games, if it's not on Steam, then I'm not buying it.
Yeah.
Because I can just download it right there.
Or the Epic, or there's the
library.
Epic Game Store too, which is their competitor. I have both. I have Steam and the Epic Game Store because they both like have free games they offer each month. So like that's like having Microsoft and Sony like on the two big stores. You got both those stores, you're fucking set. Like you don't need to do any of that. So that doesn't surprise me. And that just frees up money for them to like pour into development resources instead of spending it on pressing physical discs and physical cases.
Well, here's my hot take on it too. Like, it's kind of eco-friendly too, right? Because you're not wasting all that.
It's not it is eco-friendly compared to
cardboard and all that stuff too.
Discs. Yeah.
I mean, me and you have talked about it. I'm a big fan of having physical copies of certain things and stuff. But at the same time, like we were just discussing, most PC gamers anyways just download to like their Steam library or Epic Games library. So, why waste all that time, resource, all that stuff to make these like quote unquote physical copies? Why?
Yeah.
There's no point.
Last two stories here. This one comes from The Verge. Star Wars: The Old Republic developer BioWare has basically confirmed that development is going to be moving to Broadsword Studios, which is the company that was behind the Ultima Online and Dark Age of Camelot MMOs. This doesn't really surprise me because I believe BioWare is kind of trying to move on to make, uh, let's see, next Dragon Age is in development, and the next Mass Effect is in development. So they probably don't have time to like commit. I don't know if you know what the Old Republic is. It's their Star Wars MMO.
Yep,
Um,
I've played it.
yeah,
It's really good, actually.
yeah. So they're just shifting development over to a team that has experience in the MMO realm. What do you think?
I mean, sounds good. I mean, it's like you said, it's probably more like they're just trying to free up some assets to work on upcoming titles. Um, for people that have never played the Old Republic, it's a free to play game right now. I mean, you can pay to get some stuff, but it's free to play. If you're a big Star Wars fan, it's totally cool because every character that you have, instead of doing your regular normal quest grind, every character class has their own storyline that you can go through and kind of get that like a new fresh take of like Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic, but like an MMO setting. It's a solid game. So, and the fact that you're going to put it with a company that's already familiar with MMOs and stuff like that, I'm not worried about it at all.
Yeah. Um, and like I said, it just frees up like that team to be able to start working on like I don't know what the fuck they're gonna do with Mass Effect, but the next Dragon Age.
Give me my next Dragon Age, please.
Yeah, yeah. I know I've never been into either of those series, but I know you're a big Dragon Age fan.
Oh man, they can fuck all off with Mass Effect though. I ain't even gonna hold you up on that. Like Mass Effect went in the doo doo realm. Like
Mass Effect
after
Andromeda
fucking three,
was was woof, like
fucking terrible, dude.
real
Ooh.
bad, real bad.
Yeah, it was not good.
Yeah,
Like I'm gonna be honest with you. Mass Effect 2 is probably the golden age of Mass Effect. Y'all can fight me on that. I don't care. That was the best Mass Effect. 3 was okay, but it was starting to kind of circle the drain. You know what I mean? And then Andromeda was just a big turd. You should have flushed down the toilet. Like,
I'm
yeah,
just gonna
this shit was bad.
I'm just gonna do one thing when I talk about Andromeda right now, and people that are just listening, you're gonna have to describe. I'm gonna describe it after I do it. T pose.
Yeah.
So those of you that don't know anything about video game development, um, when you get assets for the first time, like when I was messing around with Unreal when I was in school for it, when you like get a character model, it is T posed when it starts out. You have to manipulate it to figure out what it to do, but it defaults to this. So in Mass Effect Andromeda, you had characters in cutscenes or characters that would just default to T-posing. That's what they call it,
Yeah,
T-pose with
just
their arms
yeah,
out.
yeah, yeah.
Because that's the default state when you go to like, hey, add this asset to the world. That's the default state. Like if you were to paste it in there,
Yep.
and paste it in like that, and then you manipulate it. But Mass Effect Andromeda had it to where like it had cutscenes that were like defaulting, like it would default, like, oh, it was a T-posing nightmare, that game. Did you ever see them T-pose like that?
Oh yeah, dude. You know what? That reminds me of when I was playing Legend of Dragoon. That when they first ported it over, in some of the cutscenes, some of the characters literally wouldn't move. They turned into it. Legit looked like a cardboard cutout in the background of the fucking cutscene, and I'm like, this is so hilarious. Like, I don't think this is supposed to do this, but whatever.
Nice. Um,
Basically a T pose. Yeah. Oh god, woof. That's so bad.
yeah. Oof. And our last story comes from VentureBeat, but it's kind of been all over the place. The May Circana, which is the new name for the NPD. I hate the fucking name. They It's been called the NPD for years, but they decide to rename it fancy, the Circana. But basically the thing that tracks video game sales. Tears of the Kingdom topped the sales for May. Uh, no surprise. And then on top of that, the Nintendo Switch was also the best-selling console in May. This also makes Tears of the Kingdom the second best-selling game all year. It is right behind Hogwarts Legacy, but I definitely see it surpassing that before the year goes out. I don't know. What do you think of all those numbers, though?
Not surprising, dude. So, I mean, I've already talked about Tears of the Kingdom. That game's phenomenal. I really do need to take some time to sit down and actually beat it since I'm like right at the end. But that game's fun as hell. Jen can vouch for me. That is literally like that game took over my life for weeks, for freaking weeks. Like it was so good. So seeing the huge influx of the sales for the Switch doesn't surprise me either. You know how bad my Twitter feed blew up? I got the Tears of the Kingdom OLED and stuff, and I ain't even gonna lie, I wanted to get one just because that shit looked badass. Like, so they were killing it, dude. Like, not only are we releasing a superly highly anticipated game, but from business perspective, they're like, you know what else we're gonna do? We're gonna do a limited custom console version to go coincide with the release because motherfuckers are gonna eat it up, and they did. So yeah, not
I mean,
surprising
not to mention,
at all.
you probably had people that, I mean, Zelda and Mario are Nintendo console drivers. Anytime there's a new
Mm-hmm.
Nintendo or a new Mario game or a new Zelda game, you see a spike in console sales. It's kind of like that with everybody. You see a new God of War, you'll see a spike of PS5 sales. You see
Mm-hmm.
a new Halo, you know, you'll see a spike of Xbox sales. Does not surprise me one bit that we saw a spike in Switch sales when arguably, even though it's not a game that is on my list, probably the biggest game launch of the year,
Oh
Zelda.
yeah.
Like by far,
Oh,
I mean, you could argue maybe Final Fantasy, but I wouldn't even say that. As much as a Final Fantasy fan I am, that might be the second largest one of the year, but Zelda is definitely the biggest. So, uh, that does not surprise me at all. And do you see, I mean, I definitely see it passing Hogwarts Legacy by
oh yeah.
next month.
Easily.
Next month.
Easily.
Like, cause it's like when I say it's second to it, it is like on its heels already, like right there.
Yeah,
So
it's not surprising.
yeah. And I don't see sales continuing to climb with Hogwarts Legacy. I feel like the people that have gotten in on that game are kind of already in on it. Where the Zelda games and the Mario games, like the games of this ilk, tend to constantly sell throughout the year because, you know, people that didn't get it this month are going to get it next month. And the people who didn't get it next month are going
Yes.
to get it the month after that and the
Yep.
month after that because it's just such a big game. So, um, that's all
Well,
oh, go ahead.
I will say this. On top of that, like this is my just 2 cents at the end. Hogwarts Legacy, right, is like it's kind of I don't really want to use the term niche, but it is a niche game because
It's
you
Harry
really
Potter
only see
fans.
right, correct, versus something like your Zeldas or your Marios that's beloved by everyone.
It's got widespread appeal.
Yes, so people are going to continually trickling to buy it versus Hogwarts Legacy. All the real diehard fans have already bought it, so like you're not really going to get that trickle sale like you're going to get with your Marios and your Zeldas. That's just my take on it.
Nice. That is all I have for the news. Unless you usually don't. Do you got anything else? You only had the Sega thing this week. That was kind of all you had.
Yeah.
You have anything?
I swear I didn't put anything in here, but and so I don't know. I'd have to look into it, but I swear to God, I saw somewhere that said that Final Fantasy 16 sales had eclipsed Zelda sales already.
I don't
That's
think so.
I swear
Because
to
I
God,
was
I
just saying
seen
it was
something
struggling a
somewhere
little
that
bit.
said that, and I was like, I don't know about that. Like, that's why I didn't want to say anything because I was
Look,
like, I didn't
I
look
love
into it.
Final
So
Fantasy. That's the game that I was looking forward to the most this year. But I can even say that I probably didn't. Let's
no, I don't
let
think
me
so either.
let me see here. FF16 sales. Final Fantasy 16 breaks all-time PS5 sales record. This comes from Gamer Rant. Um,
But yeah,
but
that's one of those things. Like
I don't have numbers yet. So let's see.
that
I
was one
don't
of those
believe
things.
that.
Like I swear I had seen it somewhere on Twitter or something, and I was like, that's why I didn't put it in the note because I was like, I
It
don't
sold
believe that.
3 million copies in its launch week. Um, so let's just compare Tears of the Kingdom launch week.
Yeah, not even close. They sold over 10 million worldwide
within the
launch
first
week.
within the first 3 days. So there's no fucking way.
Yeah.
It's only been 2
Yeah,
weeks
no
for
fucking way.
this. So yeah, yeah. As much as I would like to believe that, and that would make me happy, I
Right.
I I ain't gonna bet against a sure thing, honey.
No,
Like
yeah.
yeah. So
10
whoever's
million units worldwide launch week. God,
yeah
that's
who
seeing that number is just crazy.
yeah. So whoever said that needs to go check their numbers.
Yeah. Whatever you're whatever you're taking, let us know because apparently it's real good.
Yeah. Um, we got an email.
Oh,
Brandon, stop.
okay.
We got an email. I wasn't expecting it. It came in last
Mm.
second, and it has nothing to do with video games.
Cue the Shrek meme. Oh, there.
I don't even have a separate sound cue for emails because we don't get them very often. But we do have one email, and like I said, it's not really video game related. It's tech related.
Okay.
This
Oh,
comes
okay.
from this comes from Hayes, and he's all the way from Indonesia. Um, and he's actually a guy that follows me on Twitter. So shout out to Hayes. Um, and we can. I mean, if you want me to kind of gush about this because I've kind of hooked you up, I can do this. But he says here, I noticed Chase, and it looks like Brandon as well. I've watched Chase's streams, but not Brandon's streams. But it looks like you guys don't use gaming headsets. What kind of thing? What do you guys use for your audio? Thanks,
um,
Hayes.
well, I just want to start off by saying thanks, Hayes. We appreciate you. Yes. So this is a reoccurring thing that me and Chase joke about all the time. Where we say, just get yourself a badass pair of Tritons, bro.
Or
Because that's
badass, I get some Astros, get some gaming headsets.
so yeah. Clearly, yeah, we don't. We're both wearing like I don't know if I really want to call them a stereo headphone. But yeah, I wear headphones hooked into an amp. Chase kind of hooked me up because he knows a little bit more about this stuff. And so the reoccurring joke is that he ruined sound for me
Yeah, and by ruin, like you
because
can't go back. Like you don't
yeah,
notice much when you wear them, but then when you try to go back, that's where it
yes,
breaks your brain.
yes.
Yeah.
Me and him talk about it all the time because like I have a pair of AirPod Pros that I wear at work because I have an iPhone to listen to music and podcasts and stuff like that while I'm working. And don't get me wrong, I'm not bashing them. They're good, but I can clearly tell the difference when I go from like work to home and I put my headphones on or vice versa, the opposite. I can tell a clear difference between them. Um, so yeah, I love them. These are
What
Sennheisers. I don't know what you're wearing right now. I can't tell from just looking at you, but
uh
um,
what kind of headphone? What's your headphone and amp? We'll just
uh,
we'll stick with that.
these are what are these 58X Jubilees? Yep,
Yeah, Sennheiser 58X Jubilees. Yep.
yep. And they're an open back headphone. So for people that don't know, this is more of like I don't really want to say it's mesh, but it's
The
like a
cut.
grating. So for one, my ears don't sweat to death, which is nice. Two, I'm a dad, so it allows me to hear outside of like if I'm doing stuff. So if my kids are talking to me or Jen's talking to me or somebody, I can still hear what they're saying. I can still hold a conversation, things like that. And two, it's a very more open sound. And by that I mean like if I'm playing a game that's outside, right? And it's got that natural nature ambiance with these on, it feels like I'm really in a big open field versus when I would wear a closed back stereo, like gamer style headset. You can't hear anything outside of there unless your volume's turned down to next to nothing. And it feels more
The term that I like to use is claustrophobic. Everything feels more tight and closed in.
yes,
Um,
yes.
yeah.
It's very like I don't want to use the term fake, but you can clearly tell that they're trying to really hard to mimic a sound where these sound more natural, I guess,
Yeah.
would be what I would say.
And what are you plugging into?
This is I'm not sure. You gave me this or I bought this off of you. I
It's
don't
a
even know what
it's a
I don't even
shit.
know what this is.
It's a shit Magni 3 plus. Wait, or is it a 3? I think it's 3 plus. Shit. It's SCHIIT. They are an audio company that sells different out of America that sells different amps. Um, and yeah, that's what you've been running because I personally believe that the 58X Jubilee, it was a headphone that I used to have. Now my sister has it. Is like the best headphone you can buy for under 250 bucks. Probably the best headphone, hands down.
Mm-hmm.
Better than any gaming headphone you can buy,
Mm-hmm.
in my opinion. What I am running though is probably the bigger brother to what you're using. So a little bit of a backstory. I got into headphones over the pandemic. It was a very bad hobby, an expensive hobby to get into. But the one thing that sold me on the one that Brandon's wearing is everyone said, "Oh my god, the HD58X sounds like 80% to 85% to what the HD660S sounds like." And the HD660S is like a $500 pair of headphones. And the 58X sounds really close to it. So that's why I originally ended up with a 58X. But what broke my brain was what if I could get that extra 15%?
Mm-hmm.
So I have the Sennheiser, now discontinued Sennheiser HD660S. It was a $500 headphone. I got it for $400. Woo. Um, and it does pretty much everything that Brandon's headphone does, just 15 to 20% better, which you might say that sounds crazy that you paid a ton more for it, but I didn't care. It sounds, it's wider than the 58X, so it's even wider. Has a tiny bit less bass, but not enough to really be negligible. Same sort of stuff though. Gives the really wide sound stage. So you have that accurate. The best way that I like to describe it is it sounds more like you're sitting in a room with speakers versus sitting with headphones on your ears blasting two tiny speakers. It sounds more like you're in a room with like speakers situated around you. Um,
Mm-hmm.
that's the best way I would put it. The imaging is rock solid, which imaging is just where something is in that sound stage. So if something is middle, or is it left, or is it in between middle and left, or is it a little bit, or is it up, or is it behind you and off to the left? They're really good at imaging because they're audio headphones. They're meant for everyone's like, well, why would you use that for gaming? And I'm like, well, they're literally just they literally focus on sound. Um, and then I have it plugged
Mm-hmm.
into a Topping L70, which is a Chinese company that makes really good amps. This is like my fourth amplifier that I've had, and this is my third topping amp. I love topping amps; they're all really good. This will probably be my last one though, because this has literally every fucking feature I would ever want in an amp. So it literally checks every single box, hands down. So I don't think I'll ever get another amp. But yeah, I got that plugged in. It's a loud fucking amp for headphones. Brandon's amp for reference, I think his is around like 1.8 watts to 2 watts. This is 6 watts. Or actually, one infographic said 6.5 watts, one said 7, which both are absurd. You don't really once you get past 5, you're just like overkill. So that's what we run. And the reason why Brandon started doing that is because he kind of saw that I was using these headphones, and I started like giving him tidbits and corrupted him. And now
Yes.
he's got expensive hobbies like I do. Um,
I mean, honestly, my take on electronics is what I tell everybody is I don't buy cheap electronics. Like, it's an expensive habit. Electronics are expensive. Like, and I'm not gonna buy no crap.
yeah.
John calls me bougie Brandon, and
Oh,
I'm bougie when it comes to
so
electronics.
you want to say bougie? I took it even a step further than Brandon. Brandon's got the amp. He's got the fancy headphones. I forgot to mention, I even have a custom cable for my
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
a balanced custom cable from this company called Heart Audio Cables out of Texas that make these custom cables that have different ends on them. So I can have like I could just interchange ends out so I can plug it into anything. Yeah. So that's the other thing that I have too. You're not as bougie yet. Once you start getting into cables and like pad swapping, that's when you start getting real bougie. So, um, but yeah, thanks Hayes. Thanks for the question.
Yeah.
Yeah. A little gear related question, and that is a podcast. What are you going to be getting into this week?
So this week, no kids. So I'm trying, hopefully, at bare minimum, one Diablo stream, but I would rather like to get 2 in this week at some point. So that's mostly what I'm probably gonna be doing, is just a lot of that. Honestly, after we're done here, I'm gonna put I'm gonna start my laundry for the week, and then I'm probably gonna finish powering Jen right through the story on Diablo, so we can get her into Nightmare tier,
Yeah,
the tier 3. Yep.
I see her working hard right behind you. Yeah. Um, this week, I think I'm going to take a break from streaming 16. I'm still going to be playing it. But I think,
Final Fantasy 1.
yes, I think I'm going to get the Final
Yes.
Fantasy 1. I don't even know what I'm going to use for my party composition. Should I swap out the black and white mage and just have a red mage? Should I?
So I'll give you 2 scenarios. So when I originally played it on the NES, I didn't get to play it because you only allowed 1 save file, and that
Right.
was my oldest brother's. But we got to help him pick his party in the natural order things. I don't know about you, but like when I was a kid growing up, if you played something like that and you can name characters, you always had to put your brothers in there. So he ran 2 fighters, a red mage, and a black mage, and we got to pick what classes we were. So I was VV. I was the black mage in our group. Now, when I played it again and actually finally beat the game, it was like the 20th anniversary edition where they fixed a lot of the bugs. So like most people don't know this, but like there's a well-known bug in the original NES version that when the thief becomes the ninja, his stats actually get worse instead of getting better. They fixed that in this version. So I ran a fighter, a thief, a white mage, and a black mage.
Nice. Yeah, I guess I'll just have to see. But yeah, that's my plan, is to stream that this week. Because I want to kind of just continue to play 16 off for a little bit. Enjoy it, you
Oh,
know?
I'll give you this tidbit. If you're thinking about it, a lot of people sleep on the black belt. Black belt is actually notoriously known as the strongest character in the game. When he becomes the master, if you put no armor or no weapons on him, he will do more damage in a hit than a knight with the Masamune. So
Nice.
take that tidbit.
Nice. Well, yeah, I'll do that. So yeah, you'll have to try to pop into that stream, because that stream should be fun.
For sure.
But yeah, where can everybody find you?
You can find me on Twitter at EnrageMe with an H at the end, or on Twitch, twitch.tv/EnrageMe, also with an H at the end.
You can find me on Twitter at chasing_chase, and on Twitch at twitch.tv/chasingchasetv. We are on YouTube and Twitter at _blackboxsignal. We are on Twitch at twitch.tv/blackboxsignal. If you want to email us like Hayes did, you can email us at blackboxsignalpodcast@gmail.com. And as you can tell, you can email us about anything. Doesn't have to be video game related. We'll take funny questions. We don't care. And we're officially, let's see, I say this every time, we are on, let's see if I get this right, Amazon Music. We are on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, and 24 hours later, we are on Google Podcasts, because they are slow and they suck and they're awful. But yeah, with that has been an episode. And as always, we'll see you next week. So until then, stay safe, comrades.